Hello and welcome to Auntie's Art Club. Today we're going to be making something called My Name is Wild. So for this you're going to want heavy paper, watercolor paint, oil pastels, water in a jar, paintbrushes, pencil, black markers, option to use the blending stump for your pastels, and a ruler is handy if you want your name to be straight, which I did because I didn't intend it to be as wild as it became. So first, let's think of what inspires you, and I'm going to show you where that shows up in my picture. I love sunsets, love the way they look, and you can see how I put that in oil pastel in my picture. I took something from nature and I added it to my picture. I also love spider webs. Don't love spiders so much, trying to love spiders, but spider webs, spider plants. This is a painting I did a couple years ago. And I added that spider web pattern right into My Name is Wild. So, right into my piece. You get to add things that are inspired by nature for you, for your name, things that reflect your name. So, I really like the way plants like to grow, the way they branch off from each other, plants and lichens. And so I put that into My Name is Wild. Whatever it is in nature that inspires you, this, I couldn't find a picture of what I was actually making, but this looks similar. And that is these lines. And those remind me of walking on snow when it's been windy and the wind has put lines into the snow. So you're going to start just by writing your name as neat as you can. Use a ruler to help you get it neat and get the letters all the same size. And then go over it once you have how you like it in pencil. I want you to go over it in black marker. And then once I've gone over it once neatly, I start to thicken some parts of the letters. So here I'm thickening the parts of the letters that would be the downstroke of my pen, if that makes sense. But you can do whatever makes sense to you. This has to be a reflection of you, the colors and textures and shapes that inspire you, as well as an experimenting of your art supplies. What do you have on hand? Because you can use whatever you've got. So I start by doing oil pastel away from my name. So you want the oil pastel to be some part of your picture. You could also use wax crayons or pencil crayons, but you want to have it away from your name, because if you oil pastel over your name, you will not be able to see it anymore. So I took the colors that I liked from that earlier picture of the sunset and I blended those backwards because really the orange would be on the bottom if it was a sunset. But I just like the colors and I took them and I put them into my name. And because this is inspired by nature, it's not a direct picture of nature, I could make them squiggly. So I started with one squiggly line and then my sunset colors became squiggly, which is totally cool. I love the way it turned out. You can decide how you want to blend your colors. Try blending them in an uneven, squiggly way. A note on the blending stump, you do not need to use one. If you do not have one, that is not a problem. I just used it because I didn't like the feeling of oil pastels on my fingers that day. Now, once you are done your oil pastels, you can move on to watercolor. I use the same sunset colors as my beginning watercolor. So I started with those same sunset colors. And what I did was I just blended them in whatever way seemed right to me. So just make squiggly lines and then blend out. Start with one color and then blend out other colors. I did keep this first layer of paint pretty light because I wanted to be able to see my name through it. And the more pigment you put on your brush, the darker the paint's going to be. So play around with that. Experiment. How do you as an artist like to paint? How much pigment do you like to put on your paintbrush? This is your name. You're claiming your identity as an artist. So take some time. I even blended in some black paint there. It kind of dried lighter. And that's part of this experiment. How do your colors dry? How do you like them to show up? So you can see after I'd done my first layer, I started adding in darker pigment on top. And that is one of my favorite parts of watercolor, is how it behaves when you layer it. So see how watercolor behaves for you. How does it act when you layer it? How much water do you like to use as an artist? Do you like lots of water? Do you like to do less water and more paint pigment? So the part where my name is, I used less pigment because like I said, I wanted to be able to see my name. And the part where it's framing my name, so other parts of it, I put darker pigment in. And I played with adding water and adding pigment and blending with my brush and trying different brushes. What size brushes do you have? Until I got it how I liked it. And then I let it dry. And I pulled out my trusty black marker. So you can use any black marker. Sharpies are great because if you do decide to paint over them, they will not run. So whatever you've got, maybe it's a ballpoint pen, doesn't really matter. Do some art. So here is where I start using that inspiration from nature and having fun with my pen. So it just started with following those paint lines. And then I built on them. And in the spaces that I created, I put in that inspiration from nature. And this is kind of a backwards spider web. It's not an exact copy of a spider web. And those aren't exact copies of trees and lichens, but they are inspired by the things that inspire me. So if you need to, go and look at nature, go and look at a tree, go and walk in a forest. If you don't feel inspired, look through some pictures of this beautiful planet and look for the things that speak to you and put them on your name. And I took my time with this. We don't want to rush it. I did my lines. I like those. And I thought I need some dots because I love making dots. Making dots it's really fun. So I made some dots because originally I was not going to draw over my name. My name was just going to be plain. And then it was boring. So I started adding dots and I added lots and lots of dots. And I thought, that's perfect. I'm done. And then I was going over the lines and I was looking at it and I thought, it's still not right. And I did something that I didn't want to do because it was scary, but I encourage you to try it. And that is, I took my pen and I went through my name. So that name that we worked so hard to get so neat and it was so pretty, I let my natural textures, my natural lines, all of that, I let those take over my name. And I was just going to do one line. And then I started and I thought, no, my name is Wild. I am letting my name be reclaimed by nature. So I encourage you, even though it might feel a little scary, to draw through your name, to allow your name to become part of those lines. And playing with lines and playing with paint and playing with oil pastels and all of the supplies, that's how you discover your own personal artistic style, which is very important to know. And the more you practice it, the more you will know it. So keep adding lines until you feel that it's right. Because I thought I was done when I did the dots. And then I just kept looking at it and I thought, it's not right. My inner artist was saying, hey, you're not done yet. So these lines are inspired by mycelia, which are the roots of mushrooms. And I didn't have a picture of mycelia, but they're really cool. They're like long threads and they kind of connect everything together in the forest. I actually recommend looking up mycelial networks and learning about them because I did, and it was super cool. And now we're done. And before I let you go, I'm going to go over those steps one more time. So first, you're going to write your name in large letters as neatly as possible. Then you're going to experiment with your pastels, your watercolors, whatever you have around to create a background. Then you are going to add lines, dots, and patterns inspired by nature. And the final step, the one that was scary for me, might be fun for you, is allow nature to take over your name and grow your name to become part of your picture. And then I want you to appreciate how wild you are. Appreciate all the things in nature, the colors, the lines, the patterns that inspire you as an artist. Because those are the things that are fun to draw and paint and create. On that note, thank you for creating with me. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I can't wait until we do this again.